Hi there. So I get a lot of questions, and I'm Nate the House Whisperer, by the way, about what bills look like when you have an all-electric house. So unknown is scary. Humans are naturally scared of the unknown. So I thought I would just show you my bills. We have multiple houses now with heat pumps because we have several Airbnbs, and I wanted to show what those look like. So let's just walk through them. So I'm going to show you 3 houses. These are all in Fayetteville or Oak Hill, West Virginia, New River Gorge area. As I'm recording this, we just had that really harsh cold snap, Christmas Eve and Christmas Eve, if you will, in 2022. So there was a lot of usage for a couple of days, and that's normal. People don't think about it. You freak out when it's a new fuel, but when it's cold out, I don't care what fuel you're using a lot of it. It just is. So it's good to understand that you're going to have 3 days, 5 days a year where it's going to be pretty expensive to heat the house for a couple of days, but it averages out. I mean, we don't think about this in our own lives oftentimes, but I mean, there's days where I spend $2,000 in a day. You buy some big thing, but most days it's nothing like that. And it averages out. So these are, it's just important to kind of have an idea on this. So let's take a look at a couple of houses. Now these are all small. It's kind of funny, we own 4 homes right now, and all 4 of them together are, our biggest home smaller than the house that I grew up in. So I grew up in a 5,300 square foot house, and all of our houses together are 4,000. So these are small. So this is the game house to start. So I'm just going to show you, here's the energy monitoring, and this is from December. So the bill I'm going to show you is December and into January a little bit. So I could adjust the timing, but I prefer just to look by month. It's easier to compare the houses that way. But note the heat pump used 333 kilowatt hours, and it's now like 17 cents a kilowatt hour, something like that. So this is $50 or something like that. The air handler, this includes the resistance. AHU is air handler unit, or AHU, and that used 300. So this was a big chunk, and I realized that I had screwed up the commissioning, or how I had put the exact settings on this unit, and so it burned a lot more resistance than it needed to, because it wasn't running the heat pump. I had it set that below 15 degrees it would shut off the heat pump and go to straight resistance. I didn't realize that I'd done that, but I had. So I fixed it, but not until after a lot of juice got burned. So here is the bill for that. So I used 1,298 kilowatt hours for this billing period. And this billing period, by the way, note that it's a little bit over a month. So this doesn't seem like it matters, but if you have a 31-day billing period, this is going to be 10% more. So you have to keep that kind of thing in mind when you're looking at bills. There's a bunch of little things to pay attention. You also want to see, is it estimated or actual? So this is saying 1184, and again, this is not the exact same time period, and this is 1298. So we're in the ballpark. But note how much power it's been using through the year, and it's an 800 square foot place. I'm actually sitting in it, so if you see the background behind me, this is our Clue little section, so you can actually dress up and play Clue. And then the murder weapons are all on the wall. My in-laws made this cool little box. So anyway, this is 800 square feet, and it's on top of an 800 square foot garage. So that's what this is. I put a 1.5 ton Daikin fit in here. But note that 1,298 kilowatt hours, this is not bad. And I have done a little bit of work to the shell of this, and it's okay. It's got 2x6 walls. It was built in the late 70s. 2x6 walls, R19 in the walls. I didn't even touch the attic insulation here. That's R19 up there. Maybe it's R30. Doesn't really matter. I did some air sealing. I got the blower door down from a 3,000 to a 1,300. And at some point I'll play with it some more, but I've done the first round, or maybe I won't, frankly. You can get things to where they're good enough and you just move on with life. But 1,298 kilowatt hours was $215. Because of the resistance usage, the decent odds this will be the highest bill for the year of this place. And this is not particularly cheap electricity. Like I said, at 17, 18 cents now, which is annoying. This came in at 16.6 when I divided it out. And the only good way that I know to see what you pay is to divide it out. Because there's oftentimes all sorts of little things, like see how it says down here, the electric service is $201, and then there were taxes of $10.78 and consumer rate relief of $369, and there's oftentimes other things that are in there. Utility bills suck. They're really hard to read, and there's a bunch of different types, so they're all kind of tricky to figure out. But anyway, 1,298 kilowatt hours, $215. Next up, this is the candy house here. And so you can see its heat pump worked a lot harder, so I screwed this up by not telling it that resistance existed, so it actually slid down to 52 degrees that really cold day. So the heat pump was not enough on its own. This is a tiny house. It's 700 square feet, but it is not insulated. It was built in 1951. The walls are completely empty, and the attic has like 2 inches of insulation. We did a whole bunch of renovations, and 2 reasons we didn't do it. One is we had spent so much money that I just didn't want to pull the trigger on doing the rest of it. Also, it needs a bunch of electrical changes, and I don't want to insulate because then it's really hard to deal with all the electric in the attic. And then the third part is I wanted to have a case study. So here's a really loose house that's 700 square feet, literally next door to an 800 square foot house that is pretty well insulated and air sealed. So I wanted to just see what happens. It's me playing around. So the bill on this one, it used right about the same amount of power despite using less resistance. So the load on that house is a little bit higher. That's the candy cottage or the candy house. It's a little bit higher. So even though it used a bunch of heat pump, it still it had at least a chunk of a bill, but it's a hair less. So see, this is $12.43, and this is $12.98. So they're really close to each other. But this is possibly the worst bill of the year. It could be the next one coming. So January and February are the 2 coldest months in northern climates. But then we got that weird cold snap in December. So we'll see what happens next. But anyway, $200. That's going to be about my worst bill. I mean, maybe it'll go $250, something like that. And again, they are little houses, but it's just good to understand, like, this isn't that bad. Add up your gas and your electric on your house, and you'll get an idea. Okay, next up is our house. And this is not perfect because while we were gone for a week during the cold snap, I turned it down to 60 degrees, not our usual 70. But I was gone for a week, so it actually makes some kind of sense to do that, and I can adjust the temperature remotely. So the heat pump used 771 kilowatt hours, the air handler 115. Again, this is resistance, and actually I didn't touch on that back here. The candy house, 420 kilowatt hours for the heat pump, 173. Oh, sorry, that's the water heater. 139 for the air handler. And then over here, we were 333 and 293 for the game house. So 300 heat pump, 420 heat pump, 770 heat pump. This house, while relatively tight, it's 1,150 square feet, just a little guy, but it was something that we could easily afford as a second house, and now we live there. 771. So this used about double what the other 2 did for the heat pump, but not a whole lot of resistance at 115. And the bill for that one is a little bit more, so we're at $225. And I am annoyed by how much the prices are up, because it was 14 cents last year, and now it's 18 cents. And a lot of that's fuel, so to a large degree, thank you, Russia. But that is what you are looking at. So this will be probably the highest bill. I think last year the highest bill was $240. So we're going to be somewhere in that ballpark. So January and February are going to be upwards of $200. But look at the usage the rest of the year, going back. So not that much. So these are, you know, $100 bills, somewhere in that range. And then I put a heat pump water heater in March when the resistance water heater failed here, and that is part of the drop here between March and April. but the highest month was 1,689 kilowatt hours. So just interesting to take a look. So this is the worst month for 3 houses, and we're at 215, 207, 225. So if you have a bigger house, yeah, it's going to be double this. But take a look what your gas bill is and your electric bill. It's going to be in the same ballpark. And then particularly if you have your heat pump set up right, which I did not as we went through that cold snap. So, well, particularly the game house, because I had it set to resistance only, that's going to be better as we move into the cold weather again. So hope this was helpful, just trying to give you an idea of what the bills might look like. These are my actual bills. So take that for what it's worth. Hopefully that helps reduce fear a bit, and have a wonderful day, and good luck electrifying everything. Bye-bye.